We know that Hashem created the world because He wants a dira b'tachtoinim. Hashem created the world because He wants to have this world. Olam Haza is what matters. This is where what counts is. And Emir Hashem, we're sitting, we're working, we're learning Torah, we're doing mitzvahs. Mashiach is going to come, and then there will be Tchias HaMesim. There will be a revelation of the Gili Olakus, revelation of Hashem here in this world. And everything else that was created, all the other spiritual worlds, what is their purpose? So you learn Chassidus and Kabbalah, you find out that there's a whole system that Hashem put into place. It's not that Hashem just said abracadabra, boom, and Olam Haza appeared, but rather there's worlds upon worlds, an infinite amount of worlds and spiritual energies that are condensed and contracted until finally, as a result of all of this, what you want to call this assembly line, this process, the spiritual process, our world emerges. Because Hashem is absolutely infinite. So how does this world emerge from the infinite? And the answer is through the many tzimtzumim and through the many worlds. But you can argue that's not a very satisfactory answer. You can argue that if Hashem wanted to create this world, He could have said it. Like when He said, Yehi Oyer and Yehi Rekiah, Yehi Olam, let there be a world, boom. And there's nothing. Why do we need all of that? And one of the answers is that had Hashem created the world out of nothing in that fashion, no higher worlds, no process, Hashem says, let there be a table. And a table appears. Because as we know, that's not the way it works. As we know, the table is sourced in the higher worlds, right? But let's say there were no higher worlds. Hashem just says, let there be a table. If that were to be the case, there would be an absolute remove between the table and Hashem.
How's that?
There is no correlation. There is no connection. There is no cause and effect. There is Hashem, the infinite Hashem. And then there is the table, which Hashem said, you exist, and you should exist, and therefore it exists. There is no connection between the two. Hashem wants that we should look at a table and actually be able to see, not with the physical eyes, but if you learn enough Chassidus and you understand the process of how it came into existence, you look at the table and you see Hashem. What does that mean, you see Hashem? You actually can work in reverse and work backwards and upwards through the Seder Yishnalshalos, and everything in the world is an expression of Hashem. Not only an expression of Hashem's power and His ability to create, but it's actually an expression of the Eir Ein Sof. The Eir Ein Sof as it condenses, and if you understand the process to a certain extent, you've taken away that absolute canyon, the chasm, is that how you pronounce the word? That separate chasm. The chasm that separates between this world and Hashem, because actually we're linked all the way up. You can draw, even on paper, you can say, before the world was created, there was Hashem, and then there was the Eir Ein Sof, and then what happens is a Tzimtzum Addition, and then you have the worlds which are higher than Atzilus, and then you have Atzilus, and then you have the process as it goes down through the spheres, and you can actually figure out and see the connection between here and over there. So ultimately, when we're learning Chassidus, and we're learning the dynamic, and the formula by which this world was created, what we're doing is we're connecting the world to Hashem. And we're able to look at the world with very different eyes. And when you look at the world, you realize everything in the world, this is only a dogma for the way it is above. And there's another important point, which is, we know something that we've discussed many times. There's this whole huge system, this whole process by which the energy comes down from Hashem and enters this world. And before it enters the world, it goes through huge processes in many other worlds. What causes that flow of energy? So yeah, we are on the receiving end. We are on the bottom. And we are literally, it's called Olam Haza HaTachton, this lowest world. There is no world lower than us. So in a way you can argue, we're the ultimate receivers. Every other world receives energy and then transmits it further on. There's nowhere further to transmit it. We are the We're on the bottom. We're the bowl that collects everything that comes. So that might make us feel inferior. But actually, as we've discussed many times, we're the ones that set all of the energy into motion. The fact that there's energy in the world of Atzilus is because of our learning Torah and our doing mitzvahs. The whole Seder Ishtalshelus depends upon our avodah down here. And not only in general, but also in particular. Every mitzvah that we do evokes unleashes a different type of energy above. Hashem Tzilcha, the Baal Shem Tov says, as we know, that Hashem Tzilcha, so literally Hashem Tzilcha means Hashem is your shade. But the Baal Shem Tov says Hashem Tzilcha means Hashem is your shadow. Just like in a shadow, you lift up your right hand, the shadow lifts up its right hand. You lift up your left hand, the shadow lifts up its left hand. The same thing is Hashem mimics our behavior. The type of behaviors that we engage in and what we do causes corresponding movements and flows of energy above. The more we learn, therefore, about what goes on above, and then, as will happen when we finish this paper, we are going to figure out how actually everything that we're talking about over here is stimulated by our avodah. It gives us a much deeper appreciation for an understanding of what we're doing, what we're accomplishing. It's not just that we're doing a mitzvah, we have an understanding of the dynamics of above, and therefore we understand what we're achieving and what we're affecting when we do our mitzvah. So